That man right there figured it out.
Wait, who figured it out? Oh, I sent you the instructions.
No. My son, the one that is in the picture,
the one you like.
It took him 2 seconds. Nobody else could figure it out. It took him 2 seconds.
That's why he's the champion, and he put up his own picture. That's the type of attitude you need. What
right?
Oh hell, is that your old belt?
Yeah, I don't know which one that is.
WBC.
Yeah, Continental Americas. Yeah, that was a tough fucking fight. That was Cabell, I think.
I see. You did your Ash Wednesday today. Good for you. What a good Catholic boy you are.
Yeah, I did.
Where'd you go?
St. John's in Leesburg.
Jesus, I should really just dump some ashes on my head. But I always thought that was a little fucking weird. But I'm with you. You gotta show some respect to the Lord. You know what I mean?
Listen. This is a one day of the year that I can flaunt and brag about being Catholic, and everybody knows I'm Catholic.
And virtue signal. This is your Catholic's virtue signaling.
No. I love being Catholic. I love being Catholic.
Yeah.
And I don't ever want to pass up an opportunity to let everybody know. So this show, you know what I mean? Walk around on my forehead. I would do this every day. You know what I mean? If it was bragging about being Catholic, it's badass. I love it. I mean, I know that's not the reason for it, but I never miss that opportunity. I'm not a good Catholic. I'm not even a good person, but I believe in it.
That's not true. You are a good person. You're a great person. You're a great father. You do great things. I mean, that
was me fishing for compliments. So thanks for obliging.
Yeah, well, I'm gonna torture you later. So in the meantime,
no, you've already have. I already have damage from.
See who's behind me? Oscar. Oscar's behind me.
That's why I was laughing, fucker. Guess what?
What? He's dead.
He's hanging on like a fucking killer.
Poor bastard. Poor bastard. You would think he would have suffered enough, but no, he's hanging on there. Good for you, Oscar.
I voted to put him down. The rest of the family said fuck you.
So when we actually we had a good tradition for putting the dogs down back in the day. And it was well, you could feed Oscar a bunch of alkali. Does he have cancer?
At this point, he has everything.
Everything. He's got the AIDS, the cancer, the HIV, the syphilis, everything. I got you. But what we would do, we'd go to McDonald's and get a bunch of Big Macs and just take the patties and stuff and just even the dog would be blind, deaf, fucking retarded, still could find that meat in the air.
Yep.
Completely unable to hear its name and would run into walls and would still find that meat in the air. So it's a good sort of inexpensive way to give the dog a good outing before you dig the hole. And are you just going to throw the dog in the trash? Or are you going to dig a hole? What are you
dude, we're going straight down this path already on this. I don't want to go down this fucking path again, Eric.
Well, we have more important things to talk about. How are you enjoying the mostly peaceful invasion of Ukraine? Are you enjoying the mostly peaceful invasion of Ukraine?
No. And I very rarely really give a shit. But this is fun to observe, and everybody's getting into it with their memes and their bullshit, and so am I. So I'm not being a hypocrite, but it just, every once in a while it just dawns on you. These heroes of ours that are, like the Klitschko brothers, there's a good chance, and probably a better chance than not, they're not gonna make it back.
No. The Lomachenko, Klitschko, Usyk. There's a good chance that we're going to lose, out of the four, it'd be a bit of a miracle to even keep one or two. I'd like to keep, with all due respect, I'd like to keep Usyk and Lomachenko so that I can get 4 to 6 hours of absolute pleasure every year for the next upcoming years. But realistically, they've given, to a higher cause. You know, they've given themselves to a higher cause, literally and figuratively.
I mean, this is a Hollywood movie in the making.
Well, it is a movie right now. So all this shit's bullshit. So everything we're seeing is just total horseshit. There's real stuff going on. But even while when I was preparing to pull
so you're saying wag the dog. They're just wagging the dog.
Oh my God, the dog's been wagged all over the place. Here's the beauty of 2022 is you can see the horse shit, you know, as it happens to some degree, real time. So right before I called you, there was this real emotional scene with this reporter crying to Joe Biden. Turns out she's an IMF person. She's not a reporter. It was just a fake reporter scene, like a go to war. See, we need to protect the Ukrainians. And then she's the bitch ain't even a reporter. She works for Charles Klaus Schwab, who's that Dracula-looking dude who talks like, you know, we have to go take over the world. He's the Great Reset guy. So there's a weird dynamic. A lot of people don't know shit about this. So I'm gonna take a few seconds and people could fact check this. Remember, we have that contest of fact checking, right? Where if I say something that's complete and total bullshit and you can prove it's bullshit, you'll get a free piece of paper with our logo on it. So you can draw, you know, stick figures and shit. so
They're so full of shit.
I've got our logo stuff. I have that in my closet.
They could probably literally fact check what you just said, and
you can't fact check his name. I can't pronounce that shit. Like you know, things like that. If I fuck up his name pronunciation. So this guy is a big Great Reset guy. John Kerry is on saying, listen, I'm a proponent of the Great Reset. Joe Biden's a Great Reset guy. The IMF, International Monetary Fund, this guy has praised Putin, Trudeau, and Merkel, you know, and a bunch of other people. So they're all in it together. Okay, like the guy who runs Zelensky is an actor. He's literally an actor that played the president of Ukraine. Right. And had a fake political party that he turned into a real political party based on his sitcom. That motherfucker isn't in Ukraine all doped up. I mean, I would almost guarantee he's nowhere near there. And the reason I say that is he did an interview with CNN the other day where they brought CNN down into a bunker. And then he gave this impassioned speech and the CNN person cried. Anytime you see CNN involved, you know it's an acting scene more often than not, right?
Right.
So this guy looks like Pete Buttigieg. If you take a look at Zelensky, he looks a hell of a lot like Mayor Pete.
Yeah, I just realized today who he was because they put a metal vest on him and shit. And so he's been all over the news today. I never really knew who he was.
We're so easy as a culture to just jump on and be like, this guy's bad, this guy's good. We're the white, but we're the cowboys. Those are the Indians. You know, this is good, bad. So in this case, there are no good guys. It's a bunch of assholes. Everybody's an asshole. We should literally be rooting. Here's my take, and I'll walk you through this, how I get there, but they're both assholes. So not the people. The people are not assholes. The people orchestrating this are fucking assholes. So how did we get here, right? So on a grand scale of things, why would Putin do this? It's not because he's a psychopath, all right? And I'm taking out the IMF angle right now. There's a real reason Russia did this that our media wants to pretend never fucking happened. So in right after the Cold War, Russia tried to actually become, you know, they were no longer communist. Everything had fallen. The Soviet Union had fallen. Bunch of different things happened, and Russia tried to become a part of NATO. Did you know this under Bill Clinton?
I didn't know that.
Yeah, they asked to be part of NATO. We said no. Now, the reasons we said no, there could be many reasons. One, they were communists. We might have been worried that we're going to end up having to inherently protect a communist nation. We may have looked at it as inviting like a cancer into NATO. And what was the point of NATO? It's pretty much to check communism in the Soviet Union. So So we said no, but we also said, look, we're going to make certain concessions. We're not going to expand towards your border. We're not going to take you, but we're not going to, you guys don't fit, right? So we ended up saying we're not going to continue to expand NATO. Well, immediately we added like 8 more countries and then like 5 more countries, including countries all over the Russian border, to basically say the entire purpose of this organization is to ass rape you as a country. Now, the
Right.
Russian people, they're not people you trifle with. These are tough, battle-hardened people. So we started taking, including Georgia, Poland, I mean, you name Belarus, all these different places. I don't know if Belarus was not a NATO, but we started taking, Georgia was, we started taking in all these little shit countries that don't have any qualifications for NATO. And NATO is supposed to be for the general well-being of whatever. It's basically the New World Order thing that you hear about. It was positioned as a safety and security thing. And Russia said, you know what, no more. They would get pissed off. And with the Ukraine, they drew a hard red line and said, we're not going to give up our whole border here. Ukraine was the Soviet Union, and so were a lot of these other countries. So they threw a hard line down and said, no, enough. You guys have done enough of this shit. If you look at the map of Russia and NATO, it's just military bases all the way around. And we played a game of chicken where we, during the Obama administration, overthrew the Ukraine government and installed Zelensky as a puppet. He's an actor. He's a puppet. And, we started running this massive, there's a lot of oil and minerals through there. We started running these little games through there. We'll call it, whatever. A lot of money started flowing out of there, okay? Became a bit of a rat hole, if you've ever watched Wolf of Wall Street. Yeah. And a lot of people got rich. So that's where the Hunter Biden thing came in. Hunter Biden had no oil and gas, started making millions. His father's tied in. They shared a bank account. The money went back to dad. And that's our president, which is, nobody talks about that either in our media. Okay. That's by the way, it's all fake news because they're going to translate this. This is fake. Everything's fake. So that did happen. So here we have the United States, after COVID all of a sudden is exposed as being what it is, where, the polls are going wild. They're going to get rid of masks. Everything's falling apart politically. And there's an email that was sent from the DNC to everybody the day before the CDC removed these restrictions, saying, this is what the public feels. This is what's going on an election year. And they're like, wait, how do we really ratchet this shit up? And how do we transfer from COVID to something else without people knowing how full of shit we were for 2 years by ruining children's lives, locking people down? And this is supposition. I'm just, at this point, these are not facts. This is just the part where the email is, but they've kept people fucked for years, okay? So now you have the Ukraine, where we said, look, we're going to invite you into NATO, to the Ukraine. Ukraine's like, we're going to pretend we're going to bring you in. Russia goes, if you do that, we're going to war. We're like, well, we'll give you a 10-year hiatus. They're like, well, go fuck yourself. Putin's pretty old. He's not going to wait 10 years and realize that he just fucked his whole country, assuming he's not in on it, with the IMF angle. So he said, fuck off. And then we said, all right, well, we're going to, put, we have bioweapons labs all over Ukraine. We're going to put back in nukes. We're going to consider NATO membership. All we had to do is say, you guys are not coming into NATO, and this is going to stop. And we just kept playing a game of chicken to draw them in, and then started sending in these Nazis. So if you listen to Putin's side again, he's laid all this out. He says, look, and also there's Nazis there. Okay. That's been widely discredited here in our media, the Nazi angle. Do you know about this? Do you know about the Nazis? Okay. So let me pull something up here that Huffington Post. Huffington Post is not, we're not talking about Rush Limbaugh when I say Huffington Post. Do you understand? You know what the Huffington Post is? You-
What did he have to do with that Huffington Post?
so
He owned it.
So Huffington Post, neo-Nazis, Ukraine. Okay, so let me show you this, just because, again, your uncle's probably watching this, going, this motherfucker, I'm gonna get him this time. I'm gonna fact check this son of a bitch. I'm gonna get him. I'm gonna get him. Okay, so let me show you. Let me see if I can actually show. Okay, all right. So view full screen. Okay. Okay. So this is from 2014. This is under the Obama administration. It's Huffington Post. So we were actually funding actual, not neo-Nazi means like new, right? It's like when your dog dies, Oscar dies, you're going to need a neo dog, like a brand new dog. So to kill the pain of the dog passing away. So you go through this whole thing. And we've been funding Nazis, actual fucking Nazis. I'm talking about people that have the SS thing, hypothetically and metaphorically, in Ukraine for many, many years. And it started under the Obama administration. And do you know who's pissed off about it? Is George Soros. Now, who's George Soros? He's a fucking Nazi. He's an actual Nazi. He worked with the Nazis. People are like, well, he's not a Nazi. He's Jewish. No, he's not Jewish. He went on fucking 60 Minutes and said, I'm not religious at all. It was my greatest experience of my life. He's a Nazi. So on the side of quote unquote good, the good side, the Ukrainian side, that everyone's like, oh, we're on the side of good. You're literally on the side of Nazis. And if you're on the other side, you're on the side of an asshole. So as all these people are starting to rally around Ukraine and going, I'm here with Ukraine. Well, listen, the Ukrainian people is a big difference than what's happening over there. It was a shit show of biblical proportions that you and I could never understand. And I'm not shitting on Ukrainian people at all. They're brave. They're the real deal. But what we're actually seeing in this country versus what we're being told is totally different thing. There are real Nazis over there. Germany, who Angela Merkel's family was SS. So the entire CIA and FBI that we brought over under Operation Paperclip were Nazis. So
that's
there's
because
good versus
that's because
evil.
the general public gets their news from sound bites and Facebook and memes and bullshit. It's like if I read it on the computer, it must be true.
By the way, all this is nonsense. None of us, it's all misinformation.
And we form, and I'm guilty,
yeah.
but we form our opinion kind of how we want to form our opinion. I want to cheer for the underdog. I don't know what the fuck reason. I mean, I don't know all the stuff you explained. I don't know all the ins and outs of it, but it's painted in a picture.
I don't know either, Jimmy. I mean, it's just so much horse. My point is it's horseshit and it's very convoluted and it's very confusing. I'm not sitting here telling you Putin was right to invade. I don't have the information.
That boy you're looking at right there. Okay, that boy you're looking at right there says to me, he's like, I hate Putin. Why is he doing this? Why don't we, why does he have to do it? He didn't know what the fuck Putin's done, or I mean, he doesn't, he hears it.
He's just being TV. Told Putin's an asshole.
He's being told that Putin is bad. He's not being explained to why, but he's being told that from everybody. And so that's how our fucking kids learn. They're not left to learn the facts and come up with their own opinions.
Yeah, I'm probably now a Putin stooge for understanding some of the history here, of what happened. So it actually was congressional testimony. Hillary Clinton and Obama spent $50 billion with a B to overthrow Vladimir Putin, to work on subterfuging the Russian government to get rid of Vladimir Putin. And, a lot of people now might be like, that's awesome. They should have done it, whatever. But when you look at the buildup to now and why there's no trust anywhere from his perspective, imagine that you're him and you've seen all of these promises broken and now they're trying to take over a huge part of your border, and you see the writing on the wall. It's a boa constrictor that you see the snake is now wrapped all the way around you, and it's tightening, and you know it was actually congressional testimony, like he would need that $50 billion was spent to overthrow you so that they could install a puppet. And you see what happened in Ukraine. In the Ukraine, we actually had snipers. This is what we funded: snipers shooting into crowds in order to propagandize the overthrow of the government. So killing a few people in order to cause that revolution to put Zelensky in place, no big deal. That's fine. You know, it's for the greater good. He knows all this shit. He knows the history. So now we're playing a game of chicken on that front. Now, the crazy thing is all these same people, I come from a banking background. I don't know, you and I don't talk that front. But as soon as we said we were taking them off Swift, do you know what Swift is?
No.
So when you send a wire.
But I've heard, is it like PayPal and all that shit?
It's like a banking PayPal, but it was written in Fortran and Cobalt, like in
not PayPal, like Apple Card.
It's a banking system it's a messaging system, but it's a messaging system for banks to transmit.
Because didn't they turn off their all that other shit, the Apple Pay and all that stuff for them too?
They did, but here when I heard about this, and you know, my father was like, "Oh, this is great. The Russian economy is already tanking." And I'm like, "Okay, the ruble has been cut in half." So Russia knew this was coming. They knew this was coming. They've been planning for years. If you look at their purchases of gold and assets, they've known this was coming for years. It was a major source of risk for them. Now they're going to go over to what's called SIPS. SIPS is the Chinese version of SWIFT. So what did we just do? We pushed two countries that really have nothing involved with it, no real ties, other than the fact that Russia makes oil and that China has all sorts of goods and services. And now they've been tied together with banking. The risk to the US dollar being the actual currency of the world reserve is now massive. What they may have done is just solidified the end of the US dollar because now every country in the world knows, hey, if we step out of line, the United States is just going to use slavery methods on SWIFT. They're going to hold SWIFT. They're going to pull the nuclear option on SWIFT. So if you're the head of a country, what are you thinking right now? We need to mitigate our risk. How do you mitigate your risk? You set up other ways of doing things, which means you tie in with SIPs, and you
put them right. Right in bed with China.
We put everybody in bed with China in one foul move, and this brings me back to the original point. Who's winning right now from all this? China. And who was being paid from as a president? Biden, from China through his son. So everything is going right. If you're China right now,
But I don't think that's true.
You're jerking off so fucking hard right now because this is going perfectly for you. You're getting all of Russia's business. You're getting all the banking business. You're just sitting back waiting for every country in the world to come to your doorstep and set up with SIPs as a fail-safe to the SWIFT package, so that you can actually start setting up other agreements in case the United States gets out of line with their neo-Nazis and their weird shit that they have going on. So right now we have a very strange situation where the United States isn't going to win. How the fuck are we going to win? What's the win here? What's the financial win? There isn't any.
Yeah, what do they win?
And we aren't even pumping the oil that we could make the win from to be able to capitalize on the lack of Russian oil. So we've eaten that dick a long time ago. So the win right now is 100% in China's front doorstep, and everyone's going, yeah, Ukraine. I'm with the Ukraine. You dumb motherfuckers. You're being suckered so bad. You're getting suckered by like the ghost of Kiev. You're getting, you know about the ghost of Kiev?
Yeah, he's got like 12 kills or something.
That's fake. That's fake. It was fake. It's actually like a 4chan thing where they use the same guy's name. It's a comedian's face on a pilot with a fake pilot. Or do you know about that? Yeah. Do you know about the fake granny? So the granny that went up and said, with
Oh,
the
she said the
sunflower
seeds.
seeds. Yeah, the sunflower seeds. That's fake. That's all fake. That was made up. Or
Get the fuck out of
I
here.
swear to God, it's all fake. All this gangster shit you're hearing, or the Miss Ukraine that was involved. She had like a Nerf gun, like a pellet gun. Let me show you. Let me show you how fake this shit is, dude. Everything you're seeing is so fucking fake. And this is a great picture. This was posted on CNN. And I hate to do this to our audience, but there's going to be people that are going to be like, "You're an asshole. You're supporting Putin." No, I'm not. I think Putin's probably in on this with the same assholes you're supporting.
All nine listeners are going to turn against.
So take a look at this. Okay, look at this picture. Do you see it?
Yeah, but I don't see their heads.
It doesn't matter. Look at the gun. It's cardboard.
It looks like wood.
It's a wood gun. This is what they're
Shut
running.
up. Move over the other. Move to your right. They're both fucking
They're
cardboard.
both cardboard gun. Yeah.
What is that? Why? How do I know that's not a movie? What is that?
Everything you're seeing right now is there's real shit happening. Don't get me wrong, but there's so much fake shit going on, and people know. Anytime you see babies, anytime you see fathers saying goodbye to their kids, anytime you see, there was a great scene when we were going through that whole Syria propaganda thing with all these dead bodies in the water. And there was one guy who missed the memo during the photo shoot who was standing up and looking, and blew the whole thing like he was supposed to play dead and he was not playing dead.
Yeah.
There was also that with the sarin attack, like it was supposed to be a gas attack. And you could see a couple people were breathing and trying not to breathe, but were actually breathing, during it, just blowing the whole fake cover. My point being is not to say that everything's fake at all. My point being is that a lot of this shit is just, it's horseshit. It's meant to, if you're watching the news, you're being lied to. And if you haven't figured that out after the last few years of what we went through, being locked in our houses and told not to go outside when vitamin D was, pretty much one of the biggest antidotes, you know what I mean? And to wear masks when masks didn't work.
That was just, that exposed how weak as a society we really are.
Did you see the State of the Union last night?
Yeah.
Did you see anybody wearing masks?
One guy.
There was one guy. One fucking guy believed the bullshit that they've been making everybody else believe. Everybody else is like, the rule's over? Fuck that. We don't have to pretend anymore. It was so telling that there was one person that actually believed this bullshit, that masks worked. For all the leaders that led us into this fucking world of billions of these things. And each one of them, by the way, going back to global warming, all of them pretend they care about the environment. Each one of those masks takes 350 years to dissolve into an ocean. So billions of these fucking pieces of garbage that don't work sitting in our oceans so that they could gain control. And then as soon as the mandate's lifted, all of them said, yeah, okay, we can stop pretending now. We can just quit. Here's what's actually.
I thought Biden was pretty decent last night at first. I mean, he stepped on his dick a lot, but I didn't catch most of it the first time through. I thought he was pretty, energetic and everything else.
They juice him up for that shit. They juice him up. Yeah,
I figured that. I wonder what they use.
Yeah, me too. I'm curious, but he did have some during the presidential election. Every time he did a debate, you could actually see that not every time, but sometimes you could see what looked like needle marks. And I don't think he's doing heroin or anything like that, but it looked like they were maybe pumping him up with vitamins and ginseng.
IVs, yeah.
IVs of mental cognitive enhancers. And listen, if I were doing a debate, even as a young man for president, I would do the same thing. Like I wouldn't take drugs for it, but I would take, certain things that are known to sharpen and enhance your mental skills. I should do that. I should actually do that for the fucking podcast, for Christ's sake.
I was gonna say we need something the same shit
We
that
gotta
I
step
do.
in some ginseng. But look at this. This is a
But
real.
I want to give you a quick. I'm gonna give you a little trivia.
Go ahead.
Okay. Having to do with the State of the Union. So when they have guests, you know, there's a hero school teacher, whatever, right? So you know who started that?
Was it Reagan?
Reagan.
Yeah, it was
And what
Reagan.
do they and what do they call them? What do you remember who his guest was?
No, I don't. I don't have that level of history.
Okay.
What do you got?
His left. This was told to me. I'm not. I mean, and then I looked into it. I didn't remember this. But Lenny Skutnik, remember the guy that jumped off into the Potomac when the plane hit the bridge?
The frozen accident. The guy, I didn't know that was his name, but I certainly remember the guy. One guy jumped into the frozen river to pull out the. Yeah.
His name was Lenny Skutnik. So
Reagan
had him as a special guest.
Yeah.
And since then, those as a group, and you know, anybody who's a special guest, they call them Skutniks.
I did not know that. We should try to track down Lenny Skutnik for the show.
Jesus, let me see. Is he alive?
I'm probably not, man. It's been 30 years, but anybody who jumps in and does the Polar Bear Club, you know, maybe he.
I mean, he was only born in 53, so you're only looking at 70.
Yeah, no, he's probably up there. Let's see if we can track down Lenny and learn what he went through. Because that, first of all, anybody who does that sort of stuff as an ex-lifeguard, you know, and you know, studying this stuff, if I were in that same situation in that frozen river, I don't know that I would have jumped in to save anybody. And when I say that, it sounds very pussy to everybody, but all lifeguards know that when people are drowning and they're panicking, they try to take you with them.
Yeah.
You know, that's a big part of it. So it's not as simple as I'm going to jump in and save somebody's life and be a hero. When you jump in, you're not just risking your life because of the cold. Your biggest risk are the people you're getting ready to try to save are going to try to kill you, like legitimately kill you while they're panicking. So I mean, I would have probably been like, let me throw you something, because I've been in that situation, man. People when they panic, they try to literally drown the person saving them.
That guy was all balls from the get-go. I mean, boom, didn't even think twice.
Yeah, but I wonder, he might not have been trained as a lifeguard either. He might have not known his risk of trying to save people either. You know what I mean? Like if you're trained and you know how it works, you know to get behind them, put your hand over there, you know, over them like this and carry them from behind, because you can't let them get in front of you. You almost got to UFC them a little bit, got to choke them out so that they can't get to you, because they will, if you get in front of them, they're going to try to use you as a buoyancy tool to get up. It's kind of like life, actually. People will try to shove you down to kill you to get ahead.
Bring it down to their level.
So there's been a lot of let's kind of move on. First of all, I really do want to showcase a little bit of what's going on with these Ukrainian boxers that are ballsy enough to defend their country. All this stuff makes me so fucking jazzed up about nationalism, right? Caring about your organization, caring about your country, caring about what you care about. How do
just with the very first thing we talked about? Yeah, being a Catholic, you know, I'm, you know, fucking proud of it, you know, and well, you know, they've gone through some tough times lately. Hey, they've gone through some tough. There's always been bad shit going on, but I'm proud to be a Catholic. You know what I mean? So same kind of thing. These guys, it's so fucking like, I don't know. Yeah, like I've never been like that. You know, until kind of Trump and them came along. I mean, maybe Obama, you know, because I got into it with Obama.
I got into it with Obama for a during his run, during his run. I was inspired by his word. I was.
Yeah, you just feel good about your country and you're proud of it, and you want it,
I feel like
it's cool as shit.
he squandered that because he could have been, I mean, with his orator skills and his message when he was before he was running, hope and change.
Yeah.
If he kept that energy, that big dick energy throughout, instead of, you know, kind of becoming a partisan Marxist pile of shit for the rest of his, you know, presidency, he could have been the greatest. But he was an ideologue. Once you got through the bullshit, like that's what I think about Biden's, you know, speech last night. A lot of the stuff he was saying was stolen from a Trump speech. And the reason it was stolen from a Trump speech, you're talking about, he talked about borders. He talked about bringing manufacturing back, bringing jobs back. He's been at this for over a year. He's done none of these things. Every action's been the opposite. He's opened the border.
You know what I don't understand?
It just sounds good. You know what I mean? It's all shit that sounds good, but there's
You know,
nothing
when they're,
behind it.
this may be basic, just basic, but when they're talking, you know, he's touting all this job growth this year. I guess fucking so. Everybody lost their job.
You know, it's easy when you shut down everybody's job and when you actually allow them to continue to work. Yeah, it doesn't mean you created new jobs, dude.
You didn't create. Why doesn't somebody call him on his bullshit?
Well, everybody who understands, so the labor force participation rate has dropped dramatically, but most people don't understand. Anytime you hear the word deficit, you know you're being lied to, because a deficit, so debt is what's important, and we're at 30 trillion in debt. Deficit is a snapshot in time. So let me explain this in a real world thing. Let's say that you go out on your credit card, you just bought a new house, okay? And you've got a massive credit card. Let's say you have a $250,000 credit limit on your card, and you go out and you spend $50,000 on furniture, blinds, rug, carpet, fixing up the place that you just got. The very next month, you cut that down to 25 grand, because right now all you need are the finishing touches, the landscaping, and other stuff. If you went out, you just spent 75 grand, but you could actually go out as a politician and say, I cut the deficit in half because you spent 50 grand month one and 25 grand month two. Yeah, go fuck yourself. That's what deficit is.
I gotta get into this business.
It's a business of bullshit. But if you ever hear the word deficit, ever, you're being lied to, because it's a snapshot of time. And every politician is going to take the best snapshot and be like, I reduced the deficit. Dude, the debt is at 30 trillion. You've literally added 10 trillion in debt in a year. So go fuck yourself. Like, are you out of your fucking mind?
Those two wonderful ladies sitting behind the president last night. First of all, I think they look pretty damn good. I mean,
I got to be honest. Yeah, I mean, I was looking at Pelosi, going, you know, whoever her. So you see those pictures of her fucked up eyebrows, but you know, her plastic surgeon, her teeth. You know, I mean, she's old as dirt. She's old as dirt, and
she looked at some point, she looked almost scary with the faces she was making and the jumping up and it was weird. It was like a weird old grandma.
It was like an old cheerleader that just took some ecstasy and just was fucking doing some weird stuff. And considering her antics in past speeches, you know, it would have probably been more appropriate if she didn't make it about her for a second. You know what I mean? You remember when she ripped up the Trump?
Oh, that was disgraceful.
Ripped up the Trump speech where he was talking about the risks of COVID. And it was February 3rd of 2020. And he was talking about the risks of COVID, and she ripped that up and then invited everyone to Chinatown, calling him a racist, and brought everyone in from China to spread COVID, and then claimed Trump didn't do anything about COVID. So she ripped up that speech. And the reason I know that is my mother was in town for my birthday, and that was right then. And I remember watching it going, you know, I'm watching these videos, which were probably all fake propaganda videos of people collapsing in China. And I told my parents, go buy everything you need, because we're going to have a run on weird shit coming up once people realize that this is not the flu, you know?
Yeah.
And they were saying the flu's going to be worse, is what every news station was saying. Everyone, the flu's
There was no flu.
Yeah, all of a sudden, well, they recalculated every number. Every single thing was fake at that point, mathematically fake. It's amazing what you could do. Is they lie stats, statistics, that old thing. They just played games with numbers for years. There's a chart that I got the other day that was talking about the CDC has changed all the risk areas, and it used to be red, 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 red. They changed a couple of the numbers, and now it looks like a regular map with a couple of pink and red zones. These cocksuckers did it overnight.
Yeah.
Like
overnight.
Overnight.
Overnight. I do know what you're talking about.
By the way, do you see? Speaking of powerful women,
Yeah,
AOC.
She's full of shit.
But the caption here that couldn't come up on this is it says, "I'm supporting both Ukraines," and it's all the cranes in the background. So I couldn't.
Both Ukraines.
Yeah, I support Ukraines.
But Harris, another one. I think she's got like a tick, because she's constantly almost like bursting out laughing, and she's too over the top with her reactions. Don't you think?
Think about AOC?
No, I'm talking about
Harris.
Harris.
She's like maybe I always find myself, because she's basically sucked and banged her way to the top, hypothetically.
I know,
and I'm always wondering who was stupid enough to bang her. And so, I mean, I've been any guy with a position of power. How are you going to deal with that? Like, if you tell like a little bit of a joke, and I'd be like, I don't want to wake up next to you, girl. Like, get away from me.
Listen, a lot of people have been put in places they didn't belong, but I mean, I can't think of a much more glaring. It's so freaking obvious that she is a fish out of water.
Did you see her interview where she explained on Black Radio the Russian-Ukrainian conflict? Fucking amazing. Like, it was the most racist thing you've ever heard. It was like, oh, I have to talk to Black people about this? Okay. You guys are too stupid to understand this. So let me just explain. There's a country this way and a country that way. This country's bigger. This country's smaller. And this country invaded that one. And that's bad. Like, I was like, how dumb do you think Black people really are? Like, I mean, you really think they can't get IDs to vote, and that they can't understand a basic conflict on a high level? You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
You can always tell the real, people always talk about systematic racism. You know how you can tell systematic racism is when people actually, I mean, one way, there's probably a lot of ways, but when people actually change how they talk to you because they think that you're lesser than them and you can't fucking follow what they're saying, that's your tip, that they think that they're above you and that you're below them. If
they talk to you like a toddler,
then they think that they are up here and that you are down here, and it doesn't mean you can't cut it up differently. But if they talk to you like a toddler, yeah, that person probably thinks you're a dumb fuck because of your skin color. Just throwing it out there. And I saw that pretty clearly in what she was saying. Again, hypothetically, that never happened. Because she is, as Jill Biden says, she's our president.
Yeah, well, she will be.
What a great choice. So here's the one good thing about the Russian Ukrainian conflict that nobody talks about is that these guys on the Russian side and on the Ukrainian side are arguably more manly than both of us. And if they kill each other and they've got super hot girls on both sides, then you know what? There's a bunch of hot girls with resting bitch face that we can choose from should my wife leaves me, and should you actually want to import a Ukrainian wife. I mean,
Jesus Christ.
You want a resting bitch face wife? Like,
I know a guy I know a guy that orders.
Clearly a bad joke, but yeah, I would never leave my wife for Ukrainian. I'd rather I'd rather die. But I've seen what Ukrainians do to men, and it's not good. But
Oh, they're beautiful women though. But I
they're
have a
beautiful.
friend who he like he like sends for them. Right? I think like he buys them or something, or
He
like buys them.
ships them in.
Yeah, he Ukrainian, and then there's another.
Russia, like a
But I know that
does he do the bride thing? Like he's trying to pretend he's gonna be.
no. He just kind of brings them in and shit. Hold on, are you there?
Yeah, I'm here. I want to hear about the your friend that ships in Ukraine. This is interesting. There you go. You're back. So your friend is shipping in Ukrainian women. Actually, while Jimmy works out his audio, let me show you guys something that I did on my free time. So this is a little outdated because it's a Super Bowl. On this side is Cooper Cup.
Sorry
And
about
on
that.
this, so I'm going to go through some while you get your audio together. So on this side is Matt Stafford's wife, okay?
Jesus.
And on this side is Cooper Cup. And you know, Cooper Cup just hit the Kentucky Derby trifecta: most yards, most catches, most touchdowns. That never happens in the NFL. So Stafford's wife, Cooper Cup, okay? So here's where I overlaid them together. So I cut Cooper Cup's face over top of, and then I started blending them in. And then here's the end part. They literally are the same fucking person. So Matt Stafford's wife is Cooper Cup.
That's amazing.
They
I'm sorry.
literally look like the same person.
I'm telling you, this needs to be said. You're right.
ahead.
They look like the exact same person,
It's
but
unbelievable.
he's better looking than her.
He is prettier than her. Yeah, if I were going to fuck one
He's
of them, it would be
much prettier
Cooper
than
Kupp.
her.
Yeah, take him down. I think Stafford, every time he threw to him, was, like, I love you. And you could
That
see
guy's
it.
beautiful. I don't think I've ever seen a picture of him. He's gorgeous.
He's a beautiful man. I mean, he'd be the sexy. I mean, if he has, I've never looked at his ass, but next time he's on the field, I might check it out and be like, is it curvy? Maybe if Jamie gets a hold of him, she can turn her into a beautiful little girl. Somebody is in the waiting room right now. Who's that?
Oh, Patrick.
Oh, okay. Let's let him in. Boom. Perfect timing, by the way. Now that we're through the Ukraine stuff, happy Ash Wednesday, Patrick. Happy Ash Wednesday.
Happy Ash Wednesday. So
What do you got in the background?
That's a thing.
That's Hunter Thompson with Warren Zevon shooting things, getting fucked up and shooting things.
I never knew anything about Hunter Thompson. Actually, the first time I heard his name was somebody compared me to him, and I don't really know much about Hunter Thompson at all. And I found out that he had killed himself alone at like 60 some years old, and like in his daughter's house or something. And I was like, yeah, I don't know that that's a really good comparison. What do you know? What do you know about Hunter? I know nothing about Hunter Thompson.
Oh, like, dude, the guy, it's bananas. He's a brilliant guy. He was a brilliant guy, and
but in what
he
way?
was a very fucking troubled individual. He wrote Fear of Loathing in Las Vegas, but he actually did that.
I think I saw a little bit of the movie, but I didn't think the movie was very good. Like, was it a good? I mean, I don't know that I watched the whole thing. Was the movie good?
With Johnny Depp and I forget who else.
It was weird.
Del Toro.
Benicio del Toro. Actually, I don't know how I even know that, but yeah.
Yeah.
So was it a good movie? Like, is it worth?
It's a good movie. It's a much better book. It's called The Rum Diaries.
Okay.
But yeah, he was just a kind of a wild man, But his writing is really good. I like his writing. because it's
He wrote.
way different.
I know he wrote for Rolling Stone.
Gonzo writing is what they called it, right?
What does that mean?
I don't know. I think that's what they just call like gonzo journalism. Like, well, you know, he was famous for, he went like undercover, or not even undercover. He went and asked the Hells Angels if he could, in the 60s, if he could join them and document it, right? Like riding and stuff. And he did. But until he tried to intervene in some fucking fight at something like 6 months later, and they beat him half to death. And he writes about it, but it's funny. He's a nut, man. He was a nut. He's an interesting motherfucker. That's what I like to call it.
Intervening for a fight.
I think the story was there was some kind of dispute at a bar, and he just tried to settle somebody down, and that was he made a big mistake.
Never. I learned at a very young age to do that.
You never intervene in a fight.
Never intervene in a fight ever.
Huge mistake.
My brother was he was doing jujitsu at that time. I think he'd been doing it for like 2 or 3 years. So he thought he saw two random people fighting, and he thought he could go in and intervene. He ended up getting his nose broken and needed a fairly big surgery to get the septum, re-put. Because he's like, I'm being a good guy. No, it doesn't work that way.
Never get involved. Never get involved.
Never.
Not get involved.
Only time I get involved is if it's like a guy beating the shit out of a woman or something, like in broad daylight. Maybe I get involved.
Even more so, you don't get involved.
Even then, that's some of the most dangerous thing.
I don't know. If I saw someone beating the shit out of a woman, I would definitely get involved.
I would too, Patrick. I would too. Well, it depends.
I have to intervene. I mean, I might just try to fucking stop it, but I don't know if I could just do that.
If the guy were using some high-end striking skills and had his grappling down, I might just call the police. I'd be like, look, he's in the full mount. He's actually slapping her with, oh my goodness, I can't. No, but dead serious. At that point, I just draw a gun and
no, but never. My rule is you never, ever, ever intervene. Even if it's your friend who's about to get in the fight, you never step up and say anything.
Man,
just let them handle it.
I would have been in almost no fights if I had adhered to that rule. I mean, almost every fight I was ever in was caused by somebody else. I have probably a handful that I was directly or fairly directly responsible for, but the rest of them were all my friends talking shit, and I'm like, I gotta back them, and in my head I'm going, why are you such a fucking asshole? Like, you're actually the one that's the asshole. If it weren't for you, and I'm talking to my friend, if it weren't for you, I wouldn't have to be jumping in to solve this issue. And just
only time you jump in is if it's family. That's the only time you jump in.
Yeah, that's happened too, and sometimes that.
Yeah, you got it.
Huh?
You got to then.
Yeah, you have. Who's the gentleman behind you, Jimmy, with the eye?
Oh my God! Isn't that magnificent?
And not really, no. But
I think I distributed like 10,000 plastic cardboard of those pictures.
Yeah.
Here's them out.
Trying to get the
is that Tom Cruise?
Is that Brett Favre?
How beautiful am I? That's what I used to be.
That's you?
You know that's me.
No, I had no idea that was you. No, I had no idea that was you. That's you? Holy shit! You look pretty, dude. I thought that was Tom Cruise.
I have that. I still have that flyer upstairs. A couple of them.
Yeah.
You're still wasting your better looks than me on in the town. You could still run around town and utilize your looks to do something.
Well, I got better looks. I got better looks than you, but that's like saying I'm less retarded.
Yeah, exactly. But I dress better than you. Look at this. Look at that. Sharp as shit.
That's for Mardi Gras?
No. This is. I bought this so my kids wouldn't see me looking like a fucking schlubber on the house during COVID. So
I'm gonna start snazzing up, man. I'm gonna start snazzing up.
You gotta look sharp. And actually, the shirt that I have on is we have to, because we've sort of committed to following the career of a young boxer. I went out and said he'd be a champion. Now he's got a couple belts. This is the Kid Austin shirt, and there's Kid Austin back there.
You have been with him. You have been with him since the beginning.
Since
He's
the
pretty
beginning.
good. He is pretty good.
Pretty good. He's nasty. Listen.
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie. He's very talented.
If you could throw thunder down with both hands like that, that knockout was a left-handed knockout, and that guy was down for a very long time after that. And so this was who knows, one of those belts, like it's a belt, but it's one of those belts that's not one of the big boys. But he's got now 3 of those little mini belts at the 130.
You got to get you pick those up. You pick those
Gotta get
up.
those.
You pick them up.
Then you get a shot at the big one.
Yeah, because
Gotta get the regional shit.
they want to accumulate all of them. You got to get the belts, all of them. So Kid Austin came in. He did, the thing that's weird. So he's a gym rat, but when you have a fight that's that fast in the first round, all those 6 weeks of training for like a little bit of ring work, it's almost, and I don't even know if he got hit. It's almost like shit. There should almost be like a system that, all right, let's get you back out and fighting in a month. You know what I mean? Let's get you another one, make some money. You're already in shape.
You got to get somebody durable.
Yeah, they're looking for 12-0 plus. I mean, he's being managed by the right people, so you can ignore my nonsense on that. He's got, he's got all the right people in his corner. Floyd Mayweather Sr. is helping to train him. The Raccoon is involved with him. He's got the Raccoon.
When you said, though, you're right. He's got to stay active. For a young fighter, just starting to break a little bit. Just starting to break, a layoff is the worst thing you can do to him. Yeah. That's why he's got to stay healthy. I mean, there's idle time is no good for a fighter. Off time, let him get those, maybe every 6 weeks, something like that, every month. And if it's an easy fight, come right back, build it up and just rack those wins up.
Rack them up. I think he's not trying to rack up, standard wins. He's looking for high quality wins. Pop to get to. I think he's trying to get to the 135 title shot. I would guess, and I'm not part of the team, but based on what I'm seeing, probably by the 12 to 13-0 range. I think he's looking for somebody to sleep on him and give him a win a couple of quality fights and get that title shot early, because he wants a lot of belts at a lot of different weight classes. He's not coming for one weight class and belts. He's coming for a legacy of a lot of weight classes and a lot of belts. And at 20, I think he's 22.
He needs to get rounds. Get some rounds. Rounds, not just first round knockouts and shit.
Yeah, and it's different being in the gym than fighting. It's a whole different thing, different energy and everything. But the fact that he's now 9-0, moving on, Kid Austin, good job. We'll keep rooting, and I think he's got a TV deal coming up, so I think we might actually be able to watch the next one on a major
guy too. By the way, right?
Huh?
I read the story. He's pretty inspiring. Am I wrong? Same person.
Extremely marketable. He's a humble, very humble until he gets in the ring. It's kind of funny because he's very shy and he's starting to come out of his shell a little bit. But his dad you can tell his dad's a gangster. Like you can just tell that his dad, because nobody's that happy that's been through that much shit unless you've been through some shit. So
Don King.
Yes, correct. You got that shine about you. So his dad has that sort of, shine about him. But his dad's also good friends with Freeway Rick Ross. They've been friends for a long time. Who's also involved with Kid Austin. So when you were involved, if you're an old friend with Freeway Rick Ross,
and then too, right?
Huh?
Rick Glazer partnered up with Rick Ross.
Rick Glazer. That's the raccoon is Glazer. So
Yeah.
so you've got that team in place tied to Don King. I mean, they've got a good team in place with him, and he's marketable. He's hungry, and we'll see where it goes. But I think it's heading in a good direction for that.
Before I forget, who watched the Taylor Catterall fight? Did you watch it, Eric?
Yeah, I watched every second of it. It was one of the worst decisions I've ever seen.
See,
Ever.
I'm going to disagree.
Huh?
It was a bad decision.
It was a
bad decision.
fucking terrible. So terrible.
was not-
Do you subscribe to Dan's email list?
Yeah. Wait.
Okay.
Who?
Dan what the fuck is his last name? Dan boxing.
Raphael.
Dan Raphael. Yeah. So Dan Raphael said it wasn't that bad of a decision. Dan Raphael can fuck off on this. And you can actually look at, and he's a brilliant
I
boxer.
usually tell him to fuck off.
He's
too.
not a fucking he's not a brilliant anything. He's a piece of shit.
Is he a piece of shit?
He's a piece of dog shit.
Well, he cares about boxing. At least he cares about the sport.
He knows how to box.
Does he? But he fucked that up so bad. So if you look at the punch stats, 11. out of
Wait.
12
Who are you talking about?
Talking about
Dan Raphael.
Yeah, Dan Raphael. We're talking about the Catterall fight. The
Yeah.
Taylor Catterall.
Dan
fight.
Raphael knows how to box.
I was just kidding. He's in great
Oh.
shape.
Okay.
trying to
Yeah, I
make
was
it
gonna
go.
say he's about 600 pounds. He looks like a fucking rhinoceros.
So
Let me
forget.
tell you something about that fight.
Go
I
ahead.
had the fight scored 7-4 and 1 even.
I had 9-3.
Plus the fucking knockdown. Okay. So
Yeah.
I had it personally scored for Catterall. But I could see where the way the fight was going late, how the judges were going to manipulate this fight. And I could see that it was a closer fight than what they were saying.
So
It was a closer fight. It was not a round.
It wasn't a closer fight. It was a bullshit.
You know what
Catterall.
you should do? You know what you should do, Eric?
What?
Is rewatch the fight with the
I-
sound off.
Yep.
I never watched the fight with sound on. I've never watched a fight with sound on pretty much ever unless Joe Rogan's commentating. So
It was
let
a
me
bad
so let me explain to you guys the real shit on this fight. The 11 out of 12 rounds, Catterall won the total punch connected count. Okay, 11 out of 12. Power punches, he won 9 out of 12. Jabs, he won 9 out of 12. Okay, it wasn't a close fight, and none of those fucking rounds were close. They weren't. They were grungy rounds. But when you win 11 out of 12 punch count stats and 9 out of 12 jabs and power punches, you won the fucking fight. And he had the knockdown.
Some of those
So
rounds,
it was a bullshit
some of those
decision.
rounds
He
were
got
like
ass
40
raped.
count in numbers. Some of
Huh?
those rounds were closer in numbers, and so you can't.
I watched the fight, dude. Everybody who watched the fight knows Catterall won that fight. You can't tell me that
couldn't
wasn't some horse shit. Home field horse shit. And and he also landed 64% more total fucking punches over the course of the fight. So then you've got referee bullshit intervening. Forget all that. Wash that out. Wash it out.
Referee I've ever seen. One of the worst referees I've ever seen.
It was hometown horseshit from start to finish. If you land a 1.64 punches to every opponent's punch, you might lose. You might have done it all in a round, but he did it in 11 out of 12 rounds from Final Punch stats. Enough. It is a ass raping. I'm not going with this. It was close. It could have been close. Horseshit. Dan Raphael, suck my asshole. That's a terrible fucking a take on that. I had him winning by 1 round. Well, you weren't watching the fight. You must have been sniffing glue while you were watching that fight. And the fact that Taylor had the dirty fight, he was so outclassed as a boxer that he had to actually turn it into. And Dan Raphael, again, with a shitty take, said it was because they had a long layoff. It was a little ugly. it wasn't a little ugly long layoff. Round one was round one. Round two on, it was just dirty fucking fighting.
Purposely.
Purposeful, dirty fighting. I need to hold. I need to grind. I need to cheap shot. I'm going to alpha, and then eventually I can't outbox this guy. He's beating me in every round. Like, you know, I gotta win somehow.
But the shit out.
Figure it out.
Yeah.
Gotta figure it out. So it was a bad take by Raphael. I don't know. I love his blog thing. I don't know him personally, but that take is fucking awful. And yeah, I'm disgusted by what happened. And I hope Catterall, you know, they find some. At some point, I hope they fix this shit in boxing because it's embarrassing. It's embarrassing when you see these terrible things. I actually like Jake Paul's solution to this. Did you see that? Did you guys?
Yeah. Well, read that, please.
He said he wanted 6 judges, each judge group to be broken up into 2, and at the end of the round, they have to agree on the score, and they have to justify. Now, the part about justifying could delay the fight like a year, right? If you're disagreeing.
So they kind of there was a system, I think, with the Olympics, where they would have all the judges, they had a mechanism in front of them and they were all tied in. And if the scoring punch wasn't all touched, you know, the button wasn't pushed at the same time or like within, you know, milliseconds, then it didn't count.
That's crazy. Yeah.
That's how they judged it.
That's fucking crazy. I mean, again, you and I have talked
and
about.
That's what happened when with Roy Jones. That was the system, and when Roy Jones got robbed in the Olympics.
And it was a horror. Go ahead, Patrick. Were you old enough to remember Roy Jones getting fucked, or how old were you when that happened?
Or 92. Might have been 90.
I think it was 88, wasn't it, Jimmy?
Might have been 88.
Patrick, your fucking sound is fucking terrible. I can't hear anything you're saying.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, better. I couldn't hear a word before, but yeah, I can hear you. But I think it was. Let me go. Roy.
I'm
Jones,
gonna go back to where I was before, so you can't hear me.
Jimmy.
That would have been Seoul.
Seoul.
That was in
88.
Seoul. Yeah.
Roy Jones Olympics. Let me pull it up. I think it was 88. It definitely wasn't 92. I can tell you it might have been 84 or 88.
But that was just corruption there. That was never going to happen. He was never going to get that medal.
So 32. So it was 88. Yeah, it was 32 years from 2020, and they're still writing articles about it, about how he got whored. I mean, I guarantee that whoring just made Roy Jones.
Oh, he got killed with that.
You know, he's still to this day pissed off about it because he knows, but I guarantee that drove him to greater heights as a professional. You know, once you get that chip on your shoulder and and that chip's real, it's not like the media told me I have a chip or whatever, but you actually, between his father's chip and the chip in the Olympics, I think that's what drove him to be, you know, one of the greatest that's ever stepped into the ring.
There's no doubt about that.
You got to have that edge. Like, remember the Michael Jordan documentary? He'd find an edge. Did you guys watch the Jordan documentary?
I used to look at Roy Jones like Michael Jordan of boxing.
Very similar, right? But did you watch?
Don't you have to put? Wouldn't you have to put Jordan as the overall GOAT?
Of course, without question.
Every sport?
I don't even think that's debatable.
Of every sport?
Not of every sport. Basketball.
Yeah, but of every sport. That's what I'm talking about. Don't you think he's the greatest?
The king
sports
of all
figure.
It's either between him or Muhammad Ali.
It would
I was going to say him or Ali.
It would definitely be Jordan over Ali. And the reason I say
Think about that, though. Think about
universal.
No, because Ali's is more of a political socio thing. Jordan is more of a. First of all, Ali was in like one commercial. You know what I'm saying?
But the time is different.
And
Yeah, and he also
again,
led
the time is different.
marches. He also led civil rights marches.
Nobody gives a fuck
Yeah.
when we're talking about sports. If you want to talk about, if you're talking about the king
No,
of the
just
sport,
in the enormity of their
doesn't matter.
celebrity.
We're talking about the king.
All
of
right, so now,
sport.
all right, so who else is up there with Jordan then? We're
You don't get to just dictate.
Tiger
what
Woods.
goes.
Tiger
Tiger
Woods.
Woods,
Tiger Woods was
Nah.
up there. Yeah, he was.
Pele.
Pele was up there, but Tiger Woods was up there, and he's not anymore. He's close, but he's not anymore because of his back and his wife beating him with that 9-iron. You know, he
I think you can put Tom Brady in that conversation.
yeah, Tom Brady is in that conversation, but Jordan's the number one guy. Ali's a whole different thing, Jimmy. To your point, it's not about the sports part for Ali. He's just a bigger figure. You know, he's a bigger
definitely
figure.
a bigger figure. Yeah.
Well, not bigger than Jordan. I mean, but he's a bigger
I don't
figure
know.
than sports. I mean, if you go to Africa, Ali's going to win that. There's a lot of.
Are we
fucking
doing? Are we doing worldwide? Are we doing fucking?
You got to go
national?
worldwide.
Of course.
You got to go worldwide. If
So
you
of
go to
course,
China-
that's what I'm saying. Ali's bigger.
No. Jordan's got China. There's more Chinese people than Africans, and I guarantee if you go into Africa right
I think it's pretty fucking
after
close,
Ali
actually.
Kumbaya,
I would have to
You
argue
don't know
that
what
it's
the
pretty
fuck
damn
you're
close.
talking about.
you go in
Come
right
on.
now. You with history right now, all these people are Ali Boumaier. You go, you want a pair of Jordans, you want a pair of Ali's. They'll be like, I'll
I'm
take
going to
the
have to say,
Jordan.
I think Muhammad Ali is the most famous athlete in history.
Over why? Give me some data.
Who's more famous than him?
Jordan's more famous.
Jordan? I don't
Jordan-
know.
Way
I don't know
more
about that.
fucking- Actually, you know
Jimmy,
what?
what do you
all right,
think?
that's it. I'm gonna fact check this. I'm gonna pull up. Somebody must have pulled up a thing. Who is
The most famous.
the most famous athlete?
In
And-
Is
history.
it going to be like Jordan,
And
Pele, or Ali?
Tiger Woods too. Because keep in mind,
Tiger
you
Woods,
have
maybe.
you have also
Maybe
Joe
Babe
It's
Louis.
Ruth.
Ali. Shut
Keep in
up.
mind- no,
Ali
keep in mind-
is,
keep in
that's
mind-
the only name it could be.
Here's how.
It's
like,
not
again,
Brady. It's not.
keep in mind, you guys aren't even talking about Joe Louis back in the day. You know what? Remember, there was a period of time when Joe Louis was shit.
Joe Louis.
You guys, time makes people disappear very quickly.
It didn't make Ali disappear.
Joe Louis was big. Muhammad Ali was bigger.
It did make Ali disappear because Ali is
Are you kidding me? How long has Jordan been out of the league?
a while, and at some point people are going to go. LeBron blew his chance to even be close, right? They blew his chance to even be close. But he because he was a whiny little bitch.
Nobody gives a fuck about Jordan anymore.
Nobody does, but they know the Jordan rules at least came out. Did you guys, by the way, did anybody watch that? Did either of you watch
The
show?
Last Dance.
Yeah, did you watch it?
I didn't watch it.
Fucking great. I loved it.
Jimmy, you would like it because Jordan.
I loved it.
And actually your kids should watch it because it was a very honest look at what it is to be great, in the sense that he would literally find an edge every single night. He'd find something to piss him off to make him competitive, and if it didn't exist, he'd fucking make it up.
Yeah, he just made up. Yeah, that's right. Well,
Something to inspire him to make it up so that he would be.
what was it that somebody said about him, but then they never said it, and he just used that?
Just made it up and just used it. Just used it. So I'm looking at this list: Pele, Maradona, Jordan, Kobe. And this is all subjective. Nobody's done a like the biggest poll I've seen is 105 athletes, which or 105 people. Somebody really needs to. We should do a poll on our website and put all these athletes up there. And by the way, they actually have wrestlers up here too, which belong up here.
I was going to say Andre the Giant and Hulk Hogan are both big names.
I was going to
Hulk
say
Hogan's got to be up there.
Michael Phelps, Serena Williams, Floyd Mayweather, Usain Bolt belongs in that list. Zidane. No, but
No.
you
None
gotta
of those guys are anywhere close to Muhammad Ali. I don't care what they say.
bend it like Beckham. You know, he
Beckham was big.
Kobe Bryant. I mean, Kobe's now even you talk about global recognition after before his accident was huge. After his accident, after that whole thing, that Kobe's now at an iconic level, and he was before. So yeah, there's some real players on here, but Jordan, I think we hit the first two, and fighting over the first two is it's fun, but realistically, Ali and Jordan are the two big dogs in that room, right? As time goes on, Jordan has the benefit of being more recent, but you could actually, if you deduct, the mathematical advantage of recency, then you could actually make a case that Ali was the bigger star. You know what I'm saying? Like Ali has another 20 years of history where people have forgotten.
We're still talking about Muhammad Ali. People still talk about that motherfucker. You know what I mean?
In his prime, can you imagine, Jimmy? This is when I asked what 3 people you would like to sit down and dinner with. I was shocked you didn't pick Muhammad Ali. You picked Hitler over Muhammad Ali. I was shocked by that because you know how much great it would be to have a meal with Muhammad Ali in his prime when he's talking.
I don't think it would be. I think you would be watching the entertainer just put on a show, and I don't think it's that great of a show.
What do you mean by that? Explain. Run with it.
It's not like you're gonna know. I mean, he's not gonna open up to just some regular guy. I think it's kind of a flawed question unless you set down rules and they have to tell the truth and they have to.
No. You have to sit down with the person with who they are, and just hang out with that person. Like you what you're getting at is, it's always disappointing to meet your idols. You know what I'm saying? You meet the person that you're idol with, and it's disappointing because they're a regular person and you expected them to be bigger than life. I think Ali in his prime would have superseded your expectations on what your favorite celebrity would be. His gift of gab and his stories and his wit and his charm. And I'm not talking about during the Malcolm X years when you would be pissed off. You know what I'm saying? He went through a little period there where we went Nation of Islam, got a little bit angry. But even then it would be amazing. Even to sit there and have him at the dinner hammering on you about all the bad things that white imperialism would have done, that would be fucking amazing. I would love to be at dinner listening to Ali talk about, all the horrible things white people have done. And because, I don't identify as white, so that'd be fine with me.
With the jacket on, what do you identify with as?
I don't know, man. I've never really identified. I've never
You told me that
really
earlier.
fit in with anyone, but all of us, by the way, everybody in history, at least this is the theory. We don't know this, but theoretically, there was a cataclysmic event a long time ago where there was a massive volcanic eruption. Do you guys remember like 2 months ago where there was that huge nuclear explosion looking thing in the Pacific, and you could see it from space, but it was a volcano? Do you guys remember?
No.
There was a huge volcanic eruption. Let me pull it up. I'll actually show you.
A volcanic eruption in my bathroom.
No, I'm being serious. Do you guys actually watch the news? Not the news, but do you guys actually follow it?
There was tsunami warnings.
Yes, volcanic eruption. So after
Off the coast, off the west coast, right?
Correct. It was in the Pacific. Thank you, Jimmy. Thank you. I mean, I was like, Jesus Christ, that was a huge story, and the video of it is
a fucking huge story. What? It's a volcano.
Well, it's not just a volcano, Jim. Let me show you. I'm going to show you. I show you. So share Google Chrome. Okay. Let me pull it up so we can actually show. Not like anybody's watching, but here's the actual. So watch this, Jimmy. Hunga Tonga, Southwest Pacific. So this is satellite photos of what happened. Are you ready?
It's crazy.
See that shit, Jimmy?
Uh,
Jimmy, watch again, because I knew he'd fall asleep during this. He's like, oh,
I didn't fall asleep. I saw it.
look at that. Like that's a look. So during there was, I think it was about, I don't know, 20,000 years ago or something like that, that there was a similar eruption that, according to our best information, wiped out almost all of civilization. At the end of it, there were about 7,000 human beings left after a similar eruption from a similar spot. So imagine you and I went to O'Connell. We had what, 1,300, 1,400 people there.
Right.
About 5 times that many people were left in the entire world. So we were all at that point limited as people. And then from then, people sort of left that area, grew.
And when was this?
17,000 years ago, 20,000 years ago. I got to look it up, but let's just say 20,000. And that's not part of the fact check because, again, I don't know exactly. So people went from there, and people that went Nordic became white because they needed vitamin D and their skin needed to adjust. The Russians, went there and they needed to be white. People went to Africa, became black because they could absorb the sun and, they had plenty of vitamin D. They didn't need to attract it. So basically all of us kind of come from the exact same place. Human beings are all the exact same. At the end of the day, when our bones are found, we're pretty much the same people. They try to make the whole skin differentiation, but really that's just a matter of people moving to different areas after a major catastrophic event. So basically eliminates racism, which is probably why it's not really taught, because we're all related. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I mean, and it sort of ruins the whole racism thing. Racism is worth a lot of money. You can't just be like, hey, we're all the same, we're all together. Yeah, that's not good. That's not good business. It's not a good business model.
I don't.
So Jimmy, what topics do you have? I know you have some topics to discuss. What do you got?
You there?
I am. What topics do you have? Patrick, what do you have? Any topics you want to discuss?
Well, I was thinking about, because I'm always thinking about music. I was thinking about my workout, the songs I use on a workout playlist. I always mix them up real good. Like if somebody were to look at it, they would be like, they wouldn't know what to think. I'm going from like Mobb Deep, Hell on Earth to David Allan Coe.
Dude, I had the Ghetto Boys on. So fucking good. I mean, Ghetto Boys Mind Playing Tricks on You. What a great written song. So well.
They were actually good music, man.
Mobb Deep is one of my favorite of all time. Tupac tried to take him down with saying they all had sickle cell or something, but it didn't work.
He did though, but he did have it. Prodigy. He was insulting him because he had it, but Prodigy died, choked on something like a couple years ago.
Before we get into music, quick thing on Cain Velasquez before I forget. Do you guys know about the Cain Velasquez story?
I heard he tried to shoot somebody and he shot the wrong guy.
So former UFC champion Cain Velasquez shot because somebody was, again, this is his perspective, and I'm pretty sure if it weren't true, I'm just saying that he could go kick somebody's ass at any point, right? So somebody molested his son or daughter, and I don't know he has both. He has a son and a daughter, young, very young, and he went and shot at somebody. Now he's facing life in jail. And I'd just like to say, free Cain Velasquez. You should be able to, you can't just accuse somebody of it, but if that's a true allegation and you have actual proof, I mean, I believe at that point,
what I read was the guy, I don't think it was his kids. I think it was his nephew or something, and his kids go. go to the same. It was at a nursery for kids at somebody's house, I think they said, and that the guy was arrested for molesting whoever it was, a kid, and released on bail or some shit like that, and that Velasquez shot him or shot at him, but shot the guy next to him.
That's a bad mistake. Yeah, if you're gonna do it, you gotta do it.
What happened.
Yeah, if you're gonna do it, you have to do it.
You can't make that mistake.
Can't make that mistake. Yeah, you can't. Yeah, if you're gonna take that with all the right intentions, you gotta. Do you remember? Did you guys ever see that old video of a person that was assassinated in an airport? That was
that's fucking crazy.
Yeah. That's how you do it. Like that's how you do it. If you're on a jury, the person comes off. This is a payphone video. I should pull it up, Patrick. I'm so glad you guys know this.
I know it. That's the guy who's on the payphone. He turns when the guy walks out and he blows his head off.
And by the way, how different are the times now that not only payphones don't exist, but you can't walk into an airport with a gun anymore like that.
I was gonna say it was just like that could never happen.
Not today. No, it couldn't. And I've tried to bring multiple weapons into airport and realized I had them and I had to ditch them and or run them through security. It's a very disheartening thing. Have either of you ever tried to bring a weapon through airport security?
No, I'm scared of that.
I don't fuck around with that shit.
I
don't want to get detained or any questionable shit.
I'm really careful with the shit I pack.
Me too.
I did one time. So I had a belt buckle knife. Okay. It's like a push dagger in the actual belt. And I've been wearing this thing for fucking 15 years. I've never pulled it out. You know, it's one of those things where, you know, matter of fact, I wore it so long that in an emergency, I'd probably forgot I even had it. One of those.
Were you wearing it? Were you wearing it going into the airport?
Wearing it going into the airport and forgot. And then when I went through airport security, beep, beep, beep. And it said, do you have any keys, wallet? Do you have a belt? I was like, yeah, I have a belt. When I pulled my belt off, I went,
oh, shit.
And I said, all right, let me put it in the plastic bin by itself. It's literally my weapon is the only thing in the plastic bin. So I go back through, we're clean. The people behind weren't paying attention. They're like, it's just one belt. I don't really have to look. I had a moment there where I was like, because I was born in Venezuela, I was like, I could really be in trouble for this. And I really hope I'm not in trouble for this. And then the belt went right through it. I put it back on and I was like, mixed emotions. Like,
yeah.
Mixed emotions. They should have fucking got me. I mean, there's no excuse for putting a belt that is a weapon as the single thing through the thing.
And somebody missed it.
Thank fucking God that they're like mixed emotions. Like I was like, oh, okay, you know, that's kind of where we are. And I think that's a pretty accurate view, but I should have been snatched, you know, and of course, no intent. It was a teeny little blade. It's only like, you know, 2.5 inches. You know, I could do the same damage with a fucking aluminum can in the real world. But yeah. So what else you guys got? So Mastival is he shot the wrong person. That's not good. So we have the Colby Covington fight coming up. Do you guys? I know you guys aren't UFC guys.
I know those two guys, and they're two. Both of them are good.
They are, but the Mastival and Covington, they were.
Mastival's going to beat his ass.
Covington's going to destroy him, but it's okay.
No way.
No, Yeah, Covington's going to make it look easy.
They really hate each other, right?
They lived with each other. They were best friends. So
now they're not.
Well, they despise.
They're selling this fight. Sounds like.
No. They've despised each other for years prior to this fight taking place. Yeah. So they lived with each other. They were literally best friends. They trained at American Top Team down in Miami. They had a falling out. Now the falling out was over. Apparently, Colby Covington got a purse for which the amount that was said. There's 2 points of views here. One point of view of Mastival's is that Colby Covington stiffed his trainer for $13,500. Colby Covington's view is the published amount of money was double of what he actually got. So he paid out of the right amount out of the money that was given.
All right.
The truth could be, who knows? You know what I'm saying? But they
Nobody else
just
fucking business.
despise each other because of it. So these two old best friends are coming in, and Masvidal is talking about, you know, killing him in the ring. In the meantime,
He's gonna destroy him. That guy's an animal. I know he's gonna win.
it's not going to happen. Colby Covington is he's just a different animal. The
What
only
is this Saturday?
yes, Covington.
Where's this fight at? Las Vegas?
I don't know where it is.
Gotta be
Usually they
Vegas.
are. Usually they are. Covington has only been beaten by Usman. He's been beaten by Usman twice, and in both cases, the fight was neck or neck. And Usman's technically the best welterweight of all time in the UFC. And neither time he could take Covington out. The only time he won in the first fight was because he knocked Covington down in the second or third round, knocked that knockdown. Otherwise, Covington won that fight, arguably. I mean, it would have been neck and neck. And in the second fight, again, very close fight. Usman squeaked out a win, but both fights against the number one welterweight in history. So Covington's known for his stamina. He can literally turn it on and